Rudy Giuliani. Does anybody miss the good old days of Rudy Giuliani when you could pretty much walk anywhere in New York City, not be robbed, not be murdered, not be raped? You could take your kids to Central Park. You could take a nice day trip to New York City and have a great time. And odds are you wouldn't be the victim of a crime. Ah, Rudy Giuliani. Let's fast forward 15, 20 years later, and this is what's going on today in New York City. Um, 8:30 this morning, some black dude decides to gas a subway train and start randomly shooting people. 16 people were shot. The guy still hasn't been caught. There's a national manhunt right now for this guy. And that's your hell if you live in New York City. But that's your hell if you live in any liberal Democrat run city in America. It doesn't matter where. Of course, there's crime everywhere. You can live in the most Republican area of Texas and there's going to be crime, but it's nowhere near the amount of crime that you're going to see in a liberal Democrat run city. And I think people are starting to wake up to it. I think we're probably going to see the midterms and the presidential election that the Republicans are going to win in a landslide. And Republicans aren't all that great anyway, but they're far better than these liberal Democrats that are basically destroying the city. This is a travesty. This is pretty much a terrorist attack, most likely conducted by just some local criminal who lives in New York City. Guaranteed it's going to come out that this guy has a rap sheet a mile long. Most likely he's already a convicted felon who shouldn't even have a gun. And the problem in New York City is they don't prosecute any crimes. That's what they do in all liberal cities. So you commit a crime, they lock you up, and the next day you're back. So you feel there's no reason why you shouldn't commit a crime, because who cares? You get locked up, you get a free meal in jail, and then you're right back out on the streets. So this is basically the hell of living in New York City, but it's not just New York City. Any liberal city, San Francisco, one of the most crime-ridden cities in the United States. A city that used to be a beautiful, vibrant city that people would visit on vacation. Beautiful weather, beautiful scenery, so much to do, near wine country, just California, nice 60, 70 degrees every day, nice, doesn't hardly ever rains. And it's basically just a crime-ridden shithole. You have human shit all over the street. They're instructing people to not lock their car doors to just make so the criminals won't break your window. Just leave your door open. That way you don't have to worry about your window being broken. It's absolutely disgusting. And, it's all from liberal Democrat policies. And there's so much blood on these liberal Democrats' hands. It's unbelievable. And I'm not talking about the social issues. Most Republicans don't care about social issues. We don't care if you're gay or whatever. You can get married. Nobody cares. But we care about actually being able to take our kids out without getting murdered. And it looks like the rest of the country is kind of turning around. I think most people are sick of this crime epidemic. Most people are sick of the wokeness and the political correctness. Even guys like Bill Maher are sick of it. And when Bill Maher kind of, is changing his tune, liberals are getting fed up with it as well. But, me, myself, I live in the Baltimore area. I took this clip of myself driving to work in Baltimore a couple weeks ago, and you're immediately accosted by a couple hundred black males on illegal stolen dirt bikes, just running people off the road, and the cops do absolutely nothing. It's like the wild, wild west for black people. That's basically what Baltimore City is and all these cities. This isn't a black or white issue, but if you're in the city, most likely you're going to be the victim of a crime of a black male. That's the statistic, and I don't see any white guys on these dirt bikes. So, and these people are running people over, they're assaulting people, they're robbing people. This is the hell that's living in a liberal Democrat city. Me, I live in a Republican area. I don't have to worry about it, but unfortunately, I have to go into Baltimore City occasionally for work. And this is what the minute you get into Baltimore City, this is right in your police headquarters. You're basically attacked by groups of black youths on stolen dirt bikes. So anyway, folks, you gotta miss Rudy Giuliani. When he was in power, I was about an 18, 19-year-old kid, actually up till 23. 20 years old. My friends and I would take trips into New York City all the time. It was safe as can be. There were cops everywhere. There are no pickpocketings. The subways, there were cops everywhere. We felt safe as can be as kids. I've taken trips there with my wife many times. No problems. This is like 10, 15 years ago. I wouldn't be called dead in New York City now. But the minute a Democrat gets elected, de Blasio, within 2 years, the entire New York City turned into one of the most disgusting, despicable cesspools in America. So don't you miss Rudy Giuliani? And I think we're going to see a turning point pretty soon where Republicans start to get elected into these cities because I think people who live in these cities are fed up with it. But imagine you're going to work and some jackass in a gas mask just starts gassing your subway train and starts shooting everybody. Now, again, there's crime everywhere. You can be in Texas and get shot too, but the odds are so much lower. I mean, it's so much lower. In these liberal cities, like it's almost like a guarantee you're going to be the victim of a crime. And I can say that myself. I live in a conservative area, hardly ever lock my door, never had my car broken into, and I don't live in a rich area, but it's not liberal Democrat. If it's liberal Democrat, it's hell. And I think that's what people are starting to realize. So, got to feel for these people who live in New York City or any other liberal shithole. But unfortunately, most of these people voted for it. And I think a lot of them are starting to realize, like, wow, they actually voted to have themselves murdered. Can you imagine you go to the ballot box and it says, would you like to have yourself murdered? And that's what you vote for? That's what all these people voted for. It's crazy. Um, they do say the average IQ in America is about 90 and it's getting lower. So it does make sense that people are voting liberal Democrat more and more. But I think we're at that tipping point where in a lot of these cities, you're going to start to see Republicans start to get elected because this is hell, man. This is absolute hell. All right. Talk to you later.